live. Okay, let's learn about the quadratic formula. Today's date is 4/13/22. Our objective is to solve x squared equations with the quadratic formula. Okay, write that down. Our objective is to solve x squared equations with the quadratic formula. Okay? So some problems won't factor. I like factoring the best because it's the quickest. Does that make sense? If I can factor, boom, boom, I got it done. Or if it's just an x squared equation, that's easy. I just square root it. Boom, boom, I'm done, right? So we've learned several ways to solve x squared equations. And the ways we've learned in the past have been little tricks, but not every problem will work. For example, in number one, if I take a look at this example number one, it will not factor. It won't factor at all, so bummer. I could complete the square, but then I'd have a fraction here. I could do that, but it'll work, but it's kind of a bummer with a fraction. I don't like fractions. So then, if something is not easy to do, we're going to use the quadratic formula. It is this: negative b plus or minus big square root b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. Now, it looks like a pretty big thing, but it's really not that hard. We just plug and chug. I'm going to say it, plug and chug. We put the numbers in, we simplify, we get our two answers. It's not that bad. Now, the discriminant is this part, b squared minus 4ac. If this answer here is positive, and the discriminant is the b squared minus 4ac. If this is positive, we get two answers. And we know if we were to graph it, those two answers would look something like this. Okay, it crosses it twice. If this part is positive, we take the square root of a number, plus or minus, we get two answers. I'll say it again while you guys are writing this down. If that b squared minus 4ac turns out to be positive, we get two answers. Well, normally we do get two answers, don't we? Not always. If this b squared minus 4ac is 0, we get only one answer, because it's the same answer twice. And we've seen that too. An example of that, if we were to graph this, would be something like this, where the parabola touches, it goes back up. Because our answers are where it crosses the x-axis, okay? So here and here are answers. Here are the answers happens twice. So we're looking for the x-intercepts. We're looking for the x-intercepts, and of course, if b squared minus 4ac is negative, we'd have to take the square root of a negative number. There's going to be no answers. Because that would look something like this, where the parabola doesn't cross the x-axis. Okay? All right, well, let's take a look at example 1 and see how this works. Okay, so if I'm going to use the quadratic formula, I've got to use my negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, okay? Now, what we need is an a, b, and c. So a is always the number in front of x squared, b is always the number here, and c. So what I'm going to write, I'm just going to write that down. I know a is 1, b is 3, and c is negative 5. Okay, so I'm just going to take, everybody can do this. Don't tell me you can't do math. Everybody can do this. A is just this number, the number in front of x squared. B is this number, the number front of x, and c is this number, the number by itself, called the constant. So I just plug and then chug. I like to call it plug and chug because I'm going to plug these numbers into my formula. So I'm going to take these numbers and I'm going to plug them into that formula. So I'm going to do it slowly with you. So I'm going to go negative b. So I'm going to go negative 3 plus or minus big square root, that's the formula, b squared. Now b is 3, so it's going to be 3 squared minus 4. 4 is in the formula, always 4. 4 is in the formula. 4 times a, and a is 1, times c, which is negative 5. Okay, so I'm just plugging the numbers in. All divided by 2 times the value of a, which is 1. Okay, so I just plug the numbers in. Okay, plug the numbers in. Put the numbers where they belong. And I'll take a second to make sure you guys see how it goes. Okay, the numbers just go in the formula. A, B, and C go in for A, B, and C in the formula. Okay, how am I doing? Thumbs up so far? Okay, all right, thumbs up. What do you think? Anybody else? I see 2, 3 thumbs up. Okay, now, all we have to do now is simplify. We're going to have to do some multiplying. We could do that. So I'm going to go negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 9. 9, because 3 squared is 9. Minus 4 times 1 is 4 times a negative 5 is a negative 20. I got a double negative. Okay, I'll deal with that in a second. All over 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, so I got a double negative because I got the subtract 4 times 1 times negative 5. Okay, 3 squared is 9. Now double negative, I'll make that plus. You guys agree with that? Double negative, we get a plus. So let's keep going. I got negative 3 plus or minus the square root of 29 all over 2. Okay, before I finish this, I'm asking you what is the discriminant. So the discriminant is 29. Discriminant is 29. That's the discriminant. Okay, so here's what I know. 2 answers. Does that make sense? I know the 2 answers. Hopefully you guys will golf today. It's pretty nasty out there. So now I need a calculator. See, I want to go a step further. I need some answers. So I take my calculus. Okay, what is the square root of 29? I don't know. Square root of 29 is about 5.4. Okay, so 5.4. So square root of 29, a little side work. Square root of 29 from my calculator is about 5.4. So let me take this a step further. Okay, negative 3 plus or minus. Well, the square root of 29 on my calculator is 5.4. I can put 5.4 here divided by 2. How am I doing? Okay, that's easy. You guys agree? So now I'm going to have 2 equations. I need 2 equations because I need 2 answers. Actually, it's not even an equation, but we're going to go negative 3 plus 5.4 over 2. And I'm going to go negative 3 subtract 5.4 over 2. I'll let you catch up to that. So what did I do? I had a plus or minus, right? Hello? Yes. Oh, good. Perfect. Thank you. Bye. Yeah. Right. So, continuing, right? All right, so you guys see what I did? I took the square root of 29. I used my calculator. My calculator said 5.4, right? I rounded. So then I knew the square root of 29 was 5.4. So then I said, okay, I need 2 equations. So I got a negative 3 plus a 5.4 over 2. And I have a negative 3 subtract a 5.4 over 2. Everybody okay with that? So then I'll go a step further. And I can use a calculator if I need to. But this should be a 2.4 divided by 2 because negative 3 plus 5.4. And use a calculator if you need to. And then 2.4 divided by 2 is a 1.2. So one of my answers is 1.2. Okay, the other answer. Negative 3 minus 5.4 is a negative 8.4 divided by 2. Okay. I can then divide that and I get a 4.2. So I get a negative 4.2. These are my two answers. So there's no fancy math. It just plug the numbers in and just, I call it plug and chug. Plug the numbers in and just chug out the answer, okay? All right, let's turn the page and see and do this again, okay? So, example 2. So find the zeros of this parabola using the quadratic formula. So what I have is I know that I have a parabola. It looks something like this. I know it looks something like this. I just know that it's upside down because of the negative. I'm looking for these answers. Okay? So to get the zeros, I'm going to set it equal to 0. So I'm going to go, okay, 0 equals negative x squared minus 3x plus 10. So now we're going to do it again. Same thing again. Okay, so my quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That's my formula. I know my a is negative 1, my b is negative 3, and my c is 10. All right? So I'm just going to take these numbers and plug them in. All right? Okay. So negative b. So I'm going to have a negative 3. I got a double negative because I've got a negative in the formula and b is a negative 3. Over here, okay, the double negative. I've got a negative in the formula. So I got a negative 3 plus or minus big square root of b squared, which is a negative 3 squared, subtract, because that's in the formula, 4, times the value of a, which is negative 1, times the value of c, which is a 10, all over 2 times the value of a, which is a negative 1. Okay? So I plugged them in. Just plugged all the numbers in. You can use times symbols in that, times symbols or parentheses. Sometimes parentheses look better because of the negatives. So I plugged, okay? Put them in. And now I'm just going to simplify from here. So everybody have the numbers in there? So let's simplify. Negative 3 is a positive 3, right? Plus or minus. Big square root. Negative 3 squared is negative 3 times negative 3, which is a positive 9. Negative 4 times negative 1 times 10 is a 40. So I get a positive 40 all over negative 2. Okay, how am I doing? Okay, so the hard part about this is just making little mistakes, right? You guys agree with that? Because it's not really that hard. We just don't want to make little mistakes. So then I'm going to continue. 3 plus or minus the square root of 49 over negative 2. Okay? 9 plus 40 is 49. Now I know what the square root of 49 is. A little side work. I know the square root of 49 is 7. Everybody agree with that? I don't need a calculator for that. Gotta go? Okay. So then 3 plus or minus 7, right? Over negative 2. Because square root of 49 is 7. And I need two answers, right? I need two answers. So I'm just going to go, okay, 3 plus 7 over negative 2 is one answer. And 3 subtract 7 over negative 2 is the second answer. Okay, I just have to finish it up now. So I have 10 over negative 2, which would be negative 5. One answer is negative 5. The other one's going to be a negative 4 over negative 2, which is a positive 2. Graphically, then, and I don't have to graph it, but here's what I have. I have a graph that looks something like this. I know this is at negative 5, and that's a positive 2. Those are my zeros. What do you think? Not too bad? Okay, now I did not give you a lot of problems for homework because these take some time, don't they? So what I have for homework is page 133, 134. You're going to do 1 through 9 odd. Okay, 1 through 9 odd. How many questions is that? 5, that's it. So I didn't give you a lot of these at all, did I? You don't need a lot, but 5, you can do 5, right?